Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody's doing well out there. We're almost at the weekend. I'm shooting this about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday and imagining everybody's going to be heading home soon to get into some of that weekend action. Anyhow, today I want to talk about beyond the raw food diet, true health, longevity, and aging well. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would beg you to go down and hit that subscribe button now, then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. Been a good week for me. Been a good week for me. I've been pretty motivated and inspired this week. As I mentioned in a recent video, it's been tough the last year, been tough the last couple of years, but something about 10 days ago, I kind of have felt sparked, and I kind of feel like I'm coming out of it now. And, I have just recently been getting more motivated. I've been working more. I've been writing on my book. I've been getting actually ideas for another book after that. And just one project after the next. But I got to get that organized because I can't just go crazy working on a bunch of different things at once. But I've got a couple of things I'm going to talk about that kind of coordinate with this. I know that was a long title right there, but I'll get to it in a minute and you'll kind of understand. After the first of the year, I've got a few new things I'm working on. One, I never really did much with my blog before, so I just kind of let that go. And I'm having a friend of mine who's good at web design do another one for me. It's just going to be a real simple little blog, and I'm going to do it from a different way, just have a little real estate of my own on the internet. And also, and this is probably at least 2 months away, if not 3, I'm going to start doing a newsletter next year. And when I say I'm going to do a newsletter, when I ask you to sign up for it and give me your email address, I don't want just some little bullshit newsletter that I just send something out just to be sending it every month. I want it to be impactful. I want it to have some good information in there. So anyhow, where this whole thought process started the other night for this video, and just kind of it kind of inspired me to expand what I'm doing in a little way, is I was watching YouTube after I went to bed, and I just was kind of just letting it go wherever. If you watch it in bed, it has the recommended, or I shouldn't say it doesn't matter if you watch it in bed, but I just noticed that when I'm watching on my TV that it's organized a little bit differently. And anyway, started watching this documentary on people from the Appalachians. And especially one woman caught my eye. A few of them caught my eye because those are hardcore people up there. I mean, real people that have lived off their land and have not had a lot of money for generations, and they survive. And I'm watching this documentary of this 87-year-old woman. And no, she wasn't vegan, she wasn't this or that, but I noticed a lot of habits. And at 87, she was even showing you, she was doing her hands like this. I mean, this woman, she worked every day. She worked her land every day. She grew food every day. She was a go-getter. And you could tell, there were lines in her face, but her body, she was just as fit. She could move around and do just as much as a 30 or 40-year-old. So it kind of made me start thinking again back to the blue zones. There's a book, and I never remember his name. I read this book. I've had it for I don't know how long. The Blue Zones, so I want to get the full name of the book. The Blue Zones Solution, Eating and Living Like the World's Healthiest People. And the author is, bad Jack, I should have known that one. Dan Buettner, Danbuettner. And there are 7 of these, and I read this, and I've done videos on it. If you actually go in and search my channel videos for the Blue Zones, you'll see a few talks that I did on that. So I read this book. I've had the book for about 4 or 5 years. I actually had the print version for a while. And the 7 areas, there's 6 of them. There may be another one. It seems like they left one out, but anyhow, the Blue Zones I remember currently are Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica. I've been to that area. I never got back up to that area after I went vegan. When I finally get back to Costa Rica, I'd like to go and explore up there. But Nicoya, Costa Rica, Icaria, Greece, and Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda, California are the Seventh-day Adventist community out there. And they live to be, I mean, all of these people, the stories, I remember it was kind of like with the lady in the Appalachians, only on steroids. Like, these people were even more amazing. You know, people in their 90s, well up into their 90s, that were functioning every day. And that's what it's all about. Sometimes we start talking about this food. Sometimes it's all about raw food. And I'm always online interacting with people about food. I get questions about food. I'm looking at things about food. And I'm like, that is only one part of the equation. Yeah, it's a big part, but I wouldn't say it's so big that it's big enough that if you do well with the food, you're all good. Like, I thoroughly believe that we need to be doing more than just obsessing over our food all the time. And you shouldn't be obsessing over your food at all. Now, in these places, these are not vegan people, although when I get to the, what similarities all these different societies seem to have in common, they do, I'll go ahead and tell you, they are plant-based, mostly. They'll still eat, like they'll have some animal products, but these are poor areas, kind of remote areas, or just, they live naturally. They haven't evolved a whole lot. So for them, what I'm getting at is they might eat some animal product during the year, usually something that they've raised themselves, but it's very, very small. It's very, very small. So the purpose of this is yes, they are getting this longevity in large part due to the plant-based diet. But some of the more common characteristics were, moderate, regular physical activity. Now I want you to listen to that. Moderate, regular physical activity. It doesn't say go out there running marathons and triathlons and, doing all these major athletic accomplishments. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's just not the stuff for longevity. It's you can just simple, like, walking is great for your overall health. Yeah, it's not going to get you swole, it's not going to get you buff or all that kind of stuff, but it's great for you. Now, what I noticed also too is they were killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. That's not a very good vegan expression, but we have some of these expressions ingrained in us. Like, for a lot of them, their physical activity was practical. Like, I remember one old woman that had to go and get water every day. So she carried water. And this woman was, I don't know if she was in her 90s, but she was at least well up into her 80s. And she carried water every day. And she had to do some distance to do that. And that was just part of her daily chores. She grew her own food. And in most of these that I went to, people had some hand in growing their own food. Now, some more than others. Some almost lived off what they produced, only on what they produced. Other people supplemented, and in small communities like this, I'm sure barter is a big part of it. So anyhow, the moderate, regular physical activity, and something, I'll throw this in, something I read recently that might, I know not everybody can structure their day to do everything perfectly, but just to throw it in there, even better than going for a long walk once a day or going for long walks is actually walking all throughout the day, because that simulates more what our natural pattern would be. So it's actually, they've found that it's better for your health if you're walking, like, let's say right now I went out and walked about 2,000 steps, which would be like maybe if I was doing everything by walking and I had to walk to the store. But anyhow, regular, moderate exercise. Another one, life purpose. They have a reason. They have a reason for getting up every day. You've got to have that reason for getting up. I've kind of found that again lately. I lost that stuff. This is, I'm not necessarily in the place I would choose to be, but I'm not complaining about it because I'm here because of my mother. But life purpose, stress reduction. All these people worrying about food. I see so many people in food groups and talking about food and in the food niche that I'm like, you're a basket case. I don't care. I see people that I don't care if they're eating perfect. I'm like, your health can't be good. Your health can't be good if you're stressing over stuff like this all the time. Stress is worse than bad food. And this is all opinion. This whole channel is all opinion. But stress is worse than a bad diet. Stress is worse than alcohol. Stress is worse than cigarettes. Stress is it in my book. I think stress just kills. Moderate caloric intake. They don't overeat. Plant-based, plant-based, plant-based. And also too, when we're talking plant-based with these people, we're talking like real foods, and we're talking actually foods that they have grown, and foods that probably still have the minerals and stuff in them. So they're growing staples, you know, potatoes. They eat rice. Maybe they buy rice. In a lot of these places, I don't think they farm rice, but they eat potatoes. They buy rice. They grow their greens. They grow, you know, they grow all kind of fruits and vegetables. A lot of them they will can, like they'll can their stuff or they'll store their stuff. So plant-based, they don't eat processed. And that's something I've talked about all along. Yes, I'm a raw food, and I'm about raw food and whatever, and I eat mostly raw food. But I really want people to dive into the actual nuts and bolts, the nutrition of a plant-based diet, because that's what really extends our lives. I mean, is like just some basic principles, nutrition and science there. Engagement in spirituality, whatever form that takes for different people. People, they tend to have either a religious belief, a spiritual practice, sometimes by themselves, sometimes with other people. Engagement in family life. And engagement in social life. Community is huge, and I have found that. Listen, I'll tell you what, my thinking has definitely changed throughout the last 3 or 4 years. I didn't value that as much. You know, I kind of let I'm in a place right now, I just don't have that many like-minded people. I don't really go out looking, even before this whole pandemic and we weren't going out a lot. I just, you know, I kind of felt like I'm on hold while I'm here in this part of Alabama, but that community is so important, and we need to be around people. And I think we need to be around like-minded people. And in some ways, I try to find that silver lining. And even though I'm by myself right now and I get bored and I get lonely sometime, I'm like, when I move on from here, I can rebuild my life like I wanted. I don't have baggage. I don't have family that I have to deal with because they're family. I don't have people that I have to deal with. And I want a like-minded community. And I will go wherever I go from here. Eventually, I'm going to get back down to the Latin America in the tropics. But I'm thinking that after I'm done with Alabama, whenever that is, that I might go find some area where there's either a lot of vegans, a lot of people doing yoga, whatever. I want like-minded people in a certain area, so I may go, you know, explore a little bit here in the States. I don't know, North Carolina, they've got some, I like it, the looks of Asheville up there. Oregon's expensive, Colorado, but anyhow, yeah, I'm going to definitely have to reach out and get some community, unless I just, we never know what happens in the next 1.5 years or 2 years. Maybe by then, maybe I've got my own community and I take my community down to Costa Rica or down to Colombia. It doesn't have to be Costa Rica. I just lived in Costa Rica for 18 years. But I will get back to the tropics. I'm just on hold right now, but that is what's going to be a lot of the focus, especially after starting in the new year and with the blog and with the newsletter. And it's not going to just be coming from my old crazy rambling head. I'm going to interview guests on the newsletter. I'm going to probably share videos that I don't put out through the YouTube channel. The blog, I'm going to have other people write things related to recipes, related to some of this stuff I'm talking about today. Stress reduction, exercise, beauty, fitness, all these different things. I want to include that. And I want it to be, I want this newsletter to be packed with information. I think I'm gonna probably shoot for doing it like once a month. That's a fairly attainable goal. But anyhow, I'm gonna finish with this. If you are obsessing with food all the time, figure the food part out. Figure the food part out. I was talking with I saw somebody post something online the other day, and it reminded me of a number of people I know that have been trying to do this lifestyle for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Get past the food. Get past the food. Get past the food, because there's other areas that you need to focus on as well for your health. And while you're just sitting there constantly obsessing about if you can be 100% raw, your health may be suffering in that pursuit of trying to be 100% raw. So anyhow, as always, just my 2 cents worth. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Maybe do me a favor and share it, because I want people to start becoming aware of my newsletter and new website for next year. And I will see you guys again either Sunday or Monday. Peace.